Now, if we kind of, you know, if we kind of looked at and left people with like what would be three tips that they can do to kind of sharpen the mind and strengthen the body, and looking at, sharpening the mind, we're kind of talking about sharpening the saw and kind of overcoming like physical obstacles.
Okay. If I would put it into sort of a three-tip format, I would make it very, very simple. And I would say your three tips are really three steps. And the first of which is a goal. Decide upon a goal. It could be a brand new goal. It could be something that you've been kind of, banging your head against for a while. But and we'll use, because most people struggle with this, exercise or getting the food intake under control or managed or deliberate. And so many people just kind of half-ass that. They don't get specific. They don't have an actual plan other than, I need to get back in shape. What does that mean? That is vague to the point of absurdity. Okay, give that some shape, give it some specificity. So turn it into an actual goal. I want to, lose X pounds. I want to gain X pounds. I want to hit this poundage on a particular exercise. I want to something specific and measurable. So create a goal. That would be tip one. So now that we have a goal in mind, we need a plan. So how are you going to do this thing? Figure out a plan, a roadmap towards accomplishing it. And then tip three is simply execute. Execute, execute. Actually do the thing. I got a great goal. Sounds awesome. Look at this plan. I got like Excel spreadsheet, graphs. It's awesome. And it's on my desk. Once upon a time, I was working for a gentleman whose previous job was was squadron commander of Delta Force. Okay, sometimes called the unit. That's what the name of the TV show was. Anyway, he used to supervise the most accomplished, smartest, fastest, scariest warriors on the planet. And one day we were having a meeting on a very large training project, and he walks in. He just kind of stands there because he's good at this. He kind of listens. He doesn't just jump in and start yelling and doing that kind of thing. He listens, takes a pulse of the room, and then says, "You know what? I think we have had just about enough great ideas. What we need now is some violent and then some colorful F-bombs execution." There comes a time, planning is great, but then you've got to go. You've got to do the work. And so my three tips: goal, plan, execution. And all three of them are equivalently important. You see guys execute all over the place, but they don't have a plan. Well, what are you trying to do? I'm at the gym, bro. I'm just getting it. Well, getting what? Besides tired, sweaty and loud. So you need to be specific. You need to have a way to get from point A to point B, and then you just have to, violent execution.
Violent execution.
It doesn't have to be violent, but I just like it that way. That's just me.
But it makes sense. I mean, violent can be interpreted in many ways.
Enthusiastic,
Yes.
without restraint. Just go, go, go. Hard
Awesome.
stuff.
And that's, I mean, it's applicable to strength or fitness goals, but really, in many ways, it's applicable to overcoming pain, overcoming injury. I mean, you need to have a goal, you need to have a plan, and probably the most important thing is execution.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Of the plan back towards the goal. So it's always like
Yeah.
a big circle.
Yeah, because the thing is, if we just have the goal and we have execution, but we don't have a plan, we
Yeah.
don't really know if all of our efforts are kind of meaningfully or functionally leading towards that goal. We could find ourselves way over here,
Yeah.
and we feel like we're doing stuff because, oh man, we're executing up a storm. But without a good plan, it's not the most efficient use of our time and our energy.
Exactly. Not an efficient use of our time. No.
And I've been that guy, so I feel comfortable saying that.
And then I meant to say it earlier in the interview, but like you were kind of talking about, the time investment when it comes to mental training or sharpening the saw of the mind. Um, you know, it's we all kind of go
I
through
call it the sword, Nick. The
sword.
sword. I mean, saws are cool, but swords, man.
Swords are
It's all
even
about the
cooler.
sword.
It is that you end up going through phases, right? If you kind of look at your career, you went through a phase where you were in the army and you were focusing on different skills when it related to the army, and then you kind of moved into law enforcement and you focused on different skills there, and then you went into bodyguard work. So even when it comes to mind training, you could take a period of time, like the program that you were talking about. You can dedicate a month to learning the skills, refining the skills, improving in order to get the benefit, which will end up carrying over from that 1 month investment.
Absolutely. I keep seeing this thing on social media uh, that says you need to start your day by making your bed. And the idea is if the first thing you do is something productive and it's something, routine and productive that you build into your day, that there's carryover. So when we're talking about, mental strengthening exercises or physical strengthening or, hopefully harnessing the two of those, what we're doing is we're building in habits, we're building in routine that is productive and that ideally there's carryover.
Yeah.
In my world view, a strong person makes the world a better place. A strong person feels better about themselves, will radiate confidence, reliability, stability. They bring that to their relationships, their family relationships. They'll be a better neighbor, a better friend, a better community member. So carryover ultimately is everything. I think a stronger person is a smarter person. I think a stronger person makes better decisions, or at least is equipped to. I mean, it can run amok. You're only as good as you decide to be. You can be a strong jerk if you want to be, but why would you want to be?
Uh-huh.
Because I think at the end of the day, everyone, male, female, aspires to be, the strong, heroic type. We all need to kind of connect with that heroic element of our character, our better nature, and being strong, making good decisions, doing the right thing when it's difficult to do the right thing, developing self-discipline. It radiates out into the world.
Awesome. Awesome. So we're kind of at the end of our interview. Is there any other? I mean, I think we
Time
covered.
goes so fast, Nick.
Yeah,
My
it does.
goodness.
It does. Is there any last minute points that you want to leave people with, or was there a question that I didn't ask you that you wanted to share with people?
Well, because you have so many people, I think, that tune into you that are either dealing with or want to prepare themselves for how to cope with injury, and so forth. If we can touch on that just a second before we finish up,
You bet.
because I've dealt with injuries myself, and I've worked with a lot of people dealing with various types of injuries, sometimes very significant. The kind of work that I've been involved with over the years, you can get hurt doing this kind of stuff, and a
You
lot,
can
a lot,
die. It's
yeah, and a lot of guys do, and so. One of the things that I'd like to share is a couple of years ago, 2011, I injured myself. I tore right bicep right off the bone. Training accident. Not doing anything really crazy that people might think, but it was we were doing some combatives training, and I was kind of coaching a guy through an armbar control hold, and I was encouraging him to put he had two arms on my one. I was encouraging him to put some pressure on me, and what he was doing, but he's being cautious and professional about it. And what I didn't really realize at the time is, after only having done feats of strength for a couple of years, my pain threshold is completely miswired now. I have no normal sense of pain, and the protective mechanisms of the body don't kick in when they should, and this may be some of your listeners. So just because something doesn't hurt yet, even though it looks like it should, it might actually, things might be going on that you're not aware of. So especially when you're my age, be cognizant of that, be cautious. In any event, I said, no, go ahead and, bear down, bear down. So he's pushing. I said, no, just go ahead and like really cinch it up tight. And, the arm starts to go back a little bit. And I'm thinking to myself, geez, I'm surprised this doesn't hurt more. And then the next thing both of us notice are two audible popping sounds, and then the arm does this, and he goes, and I look down, and the bicep is already making that little window shade move, up, and in 5 minutes, I mean, it's just getting black and yellow, and I was successful in my own self-diagnosis, and I said, yeah, I'm going to go to the ER because we just tore this thing. In any event, I was 49 at the time, and people, when they're injured, get lots of advice from people, from well-meaning people, Nick, from people who may be close to you, from people who maybe just never really understood what was that guy's deal or girl's deal anyway. So they're saying things like, Mike, you're not getting any younger. Okay, really? Maybe this is a sign, a sign of what? That, maybe you should stop, and you get all of that sort of thing, which is really unnecessary because we're always asking ourselves, particularly when injured, those very same questions. Have I been pushing it too hard? Can I come back? How do I sort of rediscover who I am physically? Where do I go from here? All of those things are always swirling around your head. There is so much discouragement which I think is normal, Like that may even be part of the body's protective system, which is, okay, engage the brain, start asking some really deep soul-searching questions right now. But not to get consumed by that. That was one of the things I dealt with way back 85, 86, 87, 88 when I was trying to physically rehab myself. I had gone from being the guy who got perfect scores in every one of his Army PT tests to a guy who was lurching around the University of Arizona, in this steel back brace up to here with those wraparound, gimpy crutches. And at the time, you will never run again. You'll never jump out of any airplanes. You're not going to do X. Yeah, I had a laundry list of things I would never do again. I was 22 years old, and physically, I was being told I was done. So there's always a considerable amount of discouragement, and we have to, when we're injured, recognize that for what it is, and not to get just absolutely consumed by that. And I think the best way out of that pit is to always do something. I mean, scale it on back, ratchet back the intensity, but find something to do. And, if your legs are biffed up, then, do something that doesn't involve them. If it's this arm, do something with this arm, work a lot of squats. But find a workaround so that you can stay proactive, so you can continue to move, so you can continue to make progress on some level. It will be tremendously therapeutic for you to not stop. Going cold turkey for somebody who wants to push their own personal physical envelope is, I don't think, a recipe for success. So that's my advice for anyone who's dealing with an injury, whether serious or not so serious. Do something. Keep the head right, keep engaged, forward movement always, and whatever you can do, make it as excellent as possible.
Awesome. It's I don't really have much more to add to that. Great advice. And then, where can people get more information about you, Mike?
I would love that. The easiest place to get more information on me is to go to MikeGillette.com. MikeGillette.com is where they can learn more about what I do as a coach, and I've just got a lot of free content on that site. A lot of blogs, all relentlessly positive in nature, and potentially extreme, because that's who I am, and that's where they'll find things like social media, Instagram, YouTube channel, Facebook, all that kind of stuff too. So love to have people find me there, hang out, and share some love, share stories of accomplishment, that kind of thing. That'd be great.
Awesome. And I will have a link to Mike's site down below, and then I'll also have a link to Mike's program. He talked about it a little bit, the Psychology of Strength. So it's kind of a program to help sharpen the saw. So if you're looking
Absolutely.
at
the sword, Nick, the sword.
Why do I keep saying
now,
the sword?
Now,
the sword.
The saw makes sense because a lot of times we talk about our mental toolkit.
Yeah.
But my toolkit also has a sword in it, just because I like swords.
Are cool. I think that's the whole.
But you can't build a house with a sword.
Yeah.
You really need both.
Yeah, this Stephen Covey, he was always talking about sharpening the saw. So I think it's just embedded in my mind.
There you go. Well,
I like sharpening the sword.
If you're looking at Steve Covey versus Mike Gillette, you might want to go with Steve Covey. He's tested and he's not crazy.
But he hasn't done I don't think he's done the crazy feats of strength.
Yeah, and I think that's the point. I think that may be to his credit.
Okay, awesome. So thank you very much, Mike.
Loved it. Great talking to you, Nick.
No worries. And thank you, everyone, at exercisesforinjuries.com. I hope you enjoyed the interview, the video or the interview. Now, make sure to swing by exercisesforinjuries.com. Enter in your injury or pain. There's a good chance that I have an article, video, or an interview for you that'll help you overcome your injury or pain. Secondly, if you're watching this on YouTube, head up above, hit subscribe. What that'll do is every couple days you'll get a video like this, which was an interview, or a video on different tips and tricks that you can do in order to overcome injury and pain. Now, lastly, head down below. You can get more information about myself and Mike, and also you can hit like and leave myself or Mike a question or comment. So this is Rick Cassell with Mike Gillette saying take care and bye-bye.